This video is just going to be a quick review of how to draw a force diagram and to look at how the components break down and how we can figure out what those components are and where the angles are going and coming from. So if we look at this box on a 30-degree incline, right, if we go to draw the force diagram, okay, we've got your force of gravity, right? We're going to have a normal force right here. Okay, and then we're going to have the components of the force of gravity. Okay, so this is your force of gravity here. This is the force of gravity in the x direction because it's parallel to the x-axis. This is the force of gravity in the y direction, okay, because it's along the y-axis. So these are the components of the force, which is actually the weight, right? And there will be one extra force here, right, which will be friction. Okay, so a couple things to figure out is where does this 30-degree angle appear in this picture we've drawn? Well, if I draw this, right, if this is 30 degrees and this is 90, then this is 60. So the 30-degree ends up right here in this triangle that we want, okay? So it's going to be the force of gravity. All right, so there's your 30 degrees. There's your force of gravity. There's your force of gravity in the x direction. And there's the force of gravity in the y direction, okay? So it's important to kind of know where the angle's coming from and where it's going to be in your picture. Now, so we're going to look at sine and cosine, right? So the sine of 30 degrees, remember sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so the opposite is FGX over the hypotenuse is FG. If you rewrite that, the x component of the force of gravity is just the force of gravity times the sine of your angle, 30. Okay? Similarly, cosine of 30, right? That's going to be your adjacent, right, over your hypotenuse. So that's going to be the force of gravity y component over the force of gravity. So if you rewrite that, FGY is just FG times a cosine of 30. Okay, so knowing where to put the angle and knowing how to find the components are going to be really necessary in subsequent videos. And in subsequent videos, I'm going to move through that a little bit more quickly. So I just want to take a couple minutes to remind you where all that was coming from.